welcome to another Catalyst After Town Hall. My name is Lloyd. I'm with the DripDropz team, and today we are asking all about customer jobs. So why does a customer care about what the job is? That's the question we're going to try to answer today, and ultimately we're going to say that that's probably what drives a customer to interact with your product or service. If you look at what we talked about last week, we talked about customer personas, right? We started out with identifying what a customer looks like so we could find other customers similar to that customer. It's kind of a time-honored approach. It works, but there's some issues with that approach where things may not work as expected. You can take a whole bunch of data points about a customer and find other customers that share those data points. But then you may find that they don't interact with you the same way as sort of that one customer did. That's normally not because they aren't similar people. They have similar interests and similar tastes, but maybe they don't have a need for what you're doing, at least right now, or in a way that's helpful to them right now. So that's what we're going to try to do today is go a step further, a little bit deeper into that process. And let's start with how we got to this point. So I'm sure everybody here knows, big data is just everywhere now, right? I mean, one way or another, we either already know everything that you could possibly know about a person that's your customer, or you could find out pretty easily using, like lookalike audiences on social media outlets and Google, where if a person matches, a person that's already a customer of yours, you pretty much can get, dozens or hundreds more people just like that person or have similar interests to that person to see your ad, but it may or may not result in more sales. So, that's a correlation rather than causation, right? So that's the way big data works. Big data gives us correlation. So, what question I want to open the floor up first with is, what data are you collecting for your customers right now, from your customers right now, in order to try and find those correlations? What are some areas that you guys use, or some tools that you use to do that?
I can go first if no one else is
Yeah,
going.
go ahead, Harsha. Yeah.
So we usually use I forgot what it's called, but we check like the number of clicks on the page, where exactly are the clicks happening, and also we can judge based on design as to where information is kind of cluttered. So the moment information is cluttered, people don't tend to go there. They tend to go to places where the information is clear to see. They click there more. So those kind of things, but it really changes from project to project, the information that we collect.
Absolutely. And Ivan, you had something as well. You had an insight?
I don't have yet customers, so I'm still developing the project I'm working on. So I'm purely learning here.
Okay.
But why are you even asking the question? Is my question actually, because like if we're talking customer jobs, then perhaps these are the jobs that the customers hire your product for, like to do for them. How is it related?
So, well, the way it's related is that a lot of people come to determining their customers based on the demographic information or the psychographic information. So, I'm, especially as you're developing something new, is that something you're considering in what you're developing? Are you going to store any demographic or psychographic data on your customers? Like, would you do that? And is that something that's relevant and useful to your business as you grow? Like Harsha had, he's got some usability things, so he's storing certain usability data. So I'm just, as a developer, are you going to store any kind of psychographic or demographic? Is that something that's on your radar?
Well, maybe. Not really sure. So what I'm working on is a sidechains framework for Cardano. So like a very specific piece of technology of which the users will be developers, right? Okay. So perhaps So I know I know perhaps what they're doing. So I know kind of some part of their persona,
Mhm.
and the job that they need to hire the product for. It's not necessarily that I'll be keeping kind of statistics about that. Um, maybe in my head.
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe not formally.
And that's fine. And that's where I'm trying to head, because the next thing is to start thinking more about the jobs that a customer wants done, instead of using the correlation. Like you might say, if they're a Python developer, they may not be able to use, they might be able to use your framework. Maybe I don't know. I'm just, spitballing there. Or a JavaScript developer may not be able to use your framework because maybe their language is too close to the user experience and UI side. Maybe there's not as
No,
much.
that's exactly the case.
Yeah.
I want Python developers or JavaScript developers to be able to use the framework.
Okay,
and
so
develop their side chains and apps on those.
all right, so you're hiring your customer's going to hire you because they don't want to deal with the machinations of
Complexity.
setting up a side chain, right?
Yeah, they don't want to learn Haskell to be able to create dApps on Cardano blockchain ecosystem.
Perfect. Awesome. And so there are some psychographic and demographic information. You probably don't need a Haskell developer. Haskell developer may look at your stuff and say, well, I could do what he's doing over here with what my knowledge base is. So I don't find Ivan's tool useful. However, as a Python programmer, I might say, oh, great, I don't have to learn Haskell and I can get this functionality that I need. So
Exactly.
That's exactly why I wanted to open with that. Like, are there relations between psychographics, demographics, and a customer's job? The answer is yeah, there are correlations, right? Not every Python developer is going to want this. So just because he's a Python developer may not be enough information. It's kind of heading in the right direction, but not necessarily everything you need to know. He has to have some interest in blockchain as well, right? So there is, there's a way to kind of find those correlations and narrow them down, refine them, right?
Yeah. So absolutely. So like not every JavaScript or Python developer would want to engage with the product, engage with the framework, because simply they may not know that they need to build a decentralized app, or they like need to build a side chain for that. Like they could go and use other blockchains, or they could just build a website, or a mobile app. So like many different ways to maybe do their job, achieve their main goal. And I definitely need to think about a subset of these people who do need to create their own side chain, who do need to create a decentralized app instead of just creating a website. So yeah, that's some segmentation going on there.
There we go. That's great. And that's exactly what I'm hoping to explore today, is how we get from the customer persona over to this idea of the jobs to be done framework, right? And ultimately, that's what this is that we're discussing today. You guys can put that down to Google for specifically the topic we're on today. It's called Jobs to Be Done framework, and there's a couple of really good articles that were written about this that go into depth. So I'll put those whenever we put the YouTube video up. We'll put the links to the sort of foundational articles on jobs to be done to share with everybody. So moving into the next step, which is, as you pointed out there, Ivan, the idea is the customer comes to you and they have these certain characteristics, but there's got to be more. There's another step that gets closer to getting that customer, that ideal customer. And that's where we get into causation. What's causing the customer to interact with your product. And when we have more information about that, then we're able to, to dig even deeper into what our customers need. And so there's lots of jobs that a customer might need to be done. So there's a degree of like temporal, like time. There's a degree of the scale of what the job is that needs to be done. And each of these things will help you further refine what you're doing. So like first let's say there's big jobs that a customer might have you do. They're starting something new and they need infrastructure to back up. This is a developer, right? Talking from Ivan's perspective, this is a developer and he's building a new app. So he's got to decide on infrastructure. So that's both a good time and a big need for the customer, right? And so that's helps you to identify that that's an ideal entry point for your product to introduce to that customer. So that's the next question for the room. What's some big needs and what's some tiny needs that your customers might have that relate to your product or that relate to your customer that might move them towards your product?
So yeah, there's the big need is to create an application that involves transfer of value, right, between parties that don't necessarily trust each other, and without involving the base layer blockchain, because it's not scalable enough,
right?
And because like Haskell, and so yeah, so that's like one of the like the biggest driver, I would say. Smaller needs, I don't know. Yeah, maybe the Haskell thing is a smaller need, actually. Yeah, it could be.
Right. They maybe they're not learning Haskell right now. Maybe they have an intention of learning at some point in the future. They're turned up to this idea of how Cardano is built. They like it. They can see doing that maybe in the future, and you could potentially be a stepping stone as well, right? That's another identifier.
I don't actually understand the like the distinction between like what's the big need and what's the smaller need. Like,
well, let me walk it
do
back.
we even need to consider smaller needs?
It depends on the product, right? So in your case, the bigger needs are definitely a better one. The smaller needs just help to refine your idea a little. But let's take, for instance, a video game on the blockchain.
Okay.
The customer's need could be as small as I'm standing in line and I have nothing to do for the next 5 minutes. So is there something in my video game that will entertain that customer for 5 minutes? That can they get in and get out in that 5-minute frame? Because they won't hire me for that problem if it takes 30 minutes to get in. If I've got to go do a raid and I got to wait for a party, or you know what I'm saying? Like, there's different types of video games. There's 5-minute time wasters, and there's, big involved games, right? So that's one way that you could, that a small thing could very well work. And your game could have both. Your game could have big events that require you to spend 30 minutes or an hour, but it could also potentially have very short, easy tasks that still offer a reward that you can do for 3 to 5 minutes or whatever. Right? So identifying big needs and small needs can go a long way.
Yeah, I would also say there's like a value in jobs to be done. I didn't know there's like a whole framework that is named like that. But I've recently come across a concept of like what creates value for the customer.
Mhm.
And looks like the job to be done that they hire the product for is like the desired outcome, right? But then there is also like the time to achieve the desired outcome, and like effort to achieve the desired outcome with the product.
Yeah,
So you want to minimize the time and you want to minimize the effort to the desired outcome. These contribute to value, right?
absolutely.
And there's another component I don't remember, but like basically around these components, like the desired outcome itself, the time to achieve it, and the effort to achieve it, you like want to identify these different things. Like obviously these are problems. You can write them down as like problems to solve,
Mhm.
and then you turn like how do you create the actual value is you solve these problems,
There you go.
like and you incorporate the solutions in your product and in
Absolutely.
your kind of
Absolutely.
offering.
And that's a great segue, Kyle. What's the problem the DripDropz solves, right? What's one of our problems? Because there's a few, but what's one of our major problems that DripDropz solves?
Well, it's a cost of distribution initially. There's a huge barrier to entry. If a token project comes into an ecosystem, and they want to distribute their token, if they want to just, the blockchain's free and open, they're more than welcome to scan the blockchain and see and identify which wallets are active and whatnot, and perform an airdrop. But the challenge is native assets are native to Cardano. They're treated just the same as ADA, and thus ADA has to travel with it a little bit to secure the protocol. And that ADA, it's about an ADA now or so that needs to travel, or a little bit more than an ADA, that needs to travel with any amount of native assets that's sent. So for example, if a project wanted to distribute assets to 100,000 wallets and do an airdrop, it would cost them over 100,000 ADA to do that. And so, DripDropz, we recognize this really early on, and Adam Dean he enabled the first native asset token faucet. And essentially, after we'd given out space coins to everybody manually, and we all went broke and realized that this wasn't sustainable, the idea of, okay, if a user wants assets, then they're going to have to cover the shipping cost, right? And so that's essentially what we perceive the UTXO, or the min UTXO more precisely, to be. Is that, and that's that ADA that has to ship with the native asset to get from point A to point B. So the user provides that payment, covers their transaction fees and the min UTXO, makes a request. Now we know a user is invested, right? So you're not just spamming tokens out there and wasting money and cost. And then, the user gets the tokens back with the rest of their ADA, and about a half ADA is burned or so, depending on what you do with the transaction fees or what you're doing, maybe a quarter of an ADA. But so, we realized that, okay, this is essentially going to be a huge component to how faucets and transactions and things work on Cardano. And then it just kind of came together from there, and we looked at it from mass scale, and Andrew had been working on the right types of technologies at the right time, and so everything kind of came together to make this awesome, Andrew calls it a token machine gun, or vending machine gun.
Yeah. And so that's one format of our customer, right? That's a primary customer of DripDropz is the token project that has tokens that they want delivered and maybe can't afford to, to provide that shipping cost to go along with it. So they need an alternative that still gets the token to their end client, which is that's one of our primaries. We have another type of customer, right? And that's the customer that is a user of the Cardano blockchain that wants tokens. and they hire us for a different purpose, right? They hire us to make tokens available to them in an easy to find place. Decentralization lends to it being really hard to find stuff. It's all scattered everywhere. Having a place where people can come and see what projects are available to them turns out to be a useful job to be hired for. Now, that's one that little niche exists all over the blockchain. So anywhere that you can find that there's information that customers need that is available on the blockchain, but they can't necessarily get to easily, if you can bring that information to them in an easy, digestible format, you might have a business model. I can't say for sure, but you just might have a business model.
And what's interesting though with DripDropz on Cardano, if you look at native assets with the largest wallet distributions, none of those were airdropped. They were all dropped on DripDropz.
That's right. Yeah, what was it?
Oh, wow.
Out of almost every token in the top 100, to the first 100 tokens that made it on Ledger, because the Ledger ones.
That's a wild stat. Yeah, like 95 or 97 out of the 100 tokens that got on Ledger were DripDropz tokens.
Right. And the reason that Ledger picked the tokens was wallet distribution. They looked at which tokens had the widest wallet distribution, and the top 100.
And transaction volume, I thought it was too, right?
Or transaction volume. Thank you. Yeah. Transaction volume. So the top 100 transacting tokens that, that were in the native registry were the ones that got that were the first 100 that were put in. And lo and behold, 95, 97% of those are all dropped by DripDropz. So we found a job that our customers needed doing, and they hired us to do that job.
And if I may add, like the smaller user job would be a bunch of random tokens ending up in my wallet. Now I have to spend gas fees to burn them or whatever. That was one of the things I faced personally, and that's why I really like using anything that's permissioned. I get to choose what tokens come into my wallet here.
Right on.
You're not just getting spam crap, even though that can happen, and it does happen. You might get a little love letter in your wallet every now and then or something for weeks.
I've gotten a few. There's always a random token. I'm like, where the heck did that? It happens still, but it is certainly not as common on Cardano as it is on other chains. So that's it's definitely a benefit. So this takes me to the next question, which do you think of this as an instead of thing for customer personas, or in an addition to a customer persona? So I want everybody to kind of, as we're looking through this, does this replace a customer persona? If you were here last week and as we talked through that, or is it something that improves upon or further narrows in?
I think it's more important because it helps you. It's a definitely enhancement into a persona, because I think there's a difference between, like making your customer better versus just selling your customer a product or making your product better, right? I want to make better drippers, not better systems, right? How do we do that? And that's kind of that and it starts with whatever's necessary there. So, maybe Ivan, for what you're trying to build is you want to make more efficient system builders, right? Or whatever the high level is. Or maybe not efficient's not the right word. Maybe you want to give system builders an advantage or whatever it may be. You see what I'm saying? You're giving somebody leverage. It's a massive tool in their tool belt, right? You're crafting a weapon for the right wielder. And so, and that's kind of the way I see it, is if you can tap into customer wants, you can empower your customers. And that's when that's when it becomes more, because now customer personas can transpire. Like before, it was just a regular customer. Now you got a customer for life, that kind of stuff. So I think it enhances it.
I dig that. Yeah.
And I also think it's like a logical next step for building a person, like after the persona, because in a persona, you're building the person that you'd be serving. Now you have to figure out what exactly is it that you are serving, because there are multiple needs and there are multiple opportunities. We need to figure out what opportunity we are taking up and what problem we are solving. So I think it comes after. But in most cases, we call it user journey or user needs and stuff like that. But user jobs is a new word.
Yeah.
I would say it's still a bit theoretical for me at this moment, but I would say that the persona thing is about how you reach the customer, how you kind of communicate to them, and the job to be done is like what you deliver to them. So like,
yeah, I think that's real insightful, Ivan, and that is the direction I was heading in. Is exactly that. The customer persona is great for marketing. It's phenomenal for marketing. It's probably the most important thing to kind of start identifying the things that you can market to and market with. So it's amazing for that side of things. But then when you get on the product planning side, it's real important to have these use cases, have these places to come from that you can say you're genuinely doing something to improve your customer's life, because then that makes the marketing that much more effective when they get to a product that does that. And it's, again, to go back to DripDropz, what are we doing now? We're working on UI enhancements, right? We're working on new tools. Multi-drip was an example. It was really painful early on. You had to go in, pick 10 tokens, hit send, wait, get that one finished, go back, get your next 10 because I go back 3 or 4 or 5 times, but I could only do it so many times. There was only so much of my time. I really wanted the tokens, but there was only so much of my time I was willing to spend to get them. So now we have a tool, multi-drip, that I fire and forget super fast. All the tokens that I want are there. Bam, I'm done. And that actually for me made me a bigger customer, because then I made wallets for my kids, and now my kids get a drip of 10 tokens every epoch because it's less work, right? I could hire the tool more easily than I could in the past, and there's still things that have to be done, lots, but that was one of the early UI improvements and UX improvements, and it was driven by understanding the pains that the customers that were using our system, we took them and made it easier for them. And that's what we're going to keep trying to do, is keep trying to identify those areas where there's still pain, because they're there, and make that pain less. So hopefully they drip more. And that's also, Kyle, right? That's the sales process, right? The more tokens we bring in, the more explorers that people, the more tokens people will be exposed to. You're muted, bud.
It's not so much just token variety too. It's also different stakeholders in the ecosystem, different champions of the ecosystem. And the more people we can enable with opportunities, whether it be through affiliations as well, you got word of mouth and people are generating excitement. But yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if you guys want this on the recording, but I stopped using DripDropz.
Oh, tell me why.
Why?
I don't use any token distribution anymore. So because I just don't find it bringing value. Like I spend like increasingly more ADA to like pay for the drops, and the tokens that it's bringing, it's like a fraction of that of what I'm spending, and it's also polluting my wallets. Like with those UTXOs, and I see in those transactions, like when I want to like do a token swap on like MinSwap or Muesli, I see the transaction preview looks ugly AF, like with all the different tokens that were dropped there. So like, I feel like it's like it could be improved. I would perhaps use it if and there's a lot of tokens to like to grab on DripDropz. That's not a bad thing, but what's bad is I cannot really identify what of like which of these large numbers of tokens I actually do want.
I agree. Yeah, you know, like if you could have like some settings where you could either say, hey, optimize, you know, get me 10 tokens, you know, I only want to pay for up to 10, but optimize by either price or by popularity, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, or and make sure to just give you a way for us to easily choose and put it on autopilot and save time. I understand that. You know, we're working on a feature too called destination drip, which is in companion gonna roll with what we hope auto drip, which is more or less subscriptions. You don't have to come every epoch. It's just like prepay. But destination drip would allow you to use multi-drip, which enables you now to drip up to 20 wallets at once. Destination would let you drip all that into a singular or to specified wallet.
Oh, fantastic! That would be awesome to like have a specific wallet for drops.
You don't get all this clusterfuck, and so what you could do is, I still have wallets like for my kids, right? So in my family, so those are always going to go to their wallets. But then I've got like 6 of my own that I want to go to one spot, right? Something like that. And then it consolidates, and it's not a clusterfuck of you dealing with a bunch of bullshit. You still have the UTXOs of all the tokens coming in every epoch, but they would at least all go to one wallet. So you'd still be, I mean, we pack transactions. We're not going to deny that. We like that. We're going to flex that all day.
Right.
UTXOs were meant to be cluttered, my friend.
Yeah, I actually have a question for you guys, like a technical one. Hopefully you don't mind the segue. So what are the limits of a transaction in terms of size?
16 kilobytes, I think, is what the max size of the TX is. And so that includes metadata and everything. And Andrew, he'd be able to answer that, or Andrew would be able to answer that more precisely. So what we do is we started out serving 3 users, max 10 tokens per transaction. And then we upped it to 4. So we serve 4 users and send 11 assets each. So 44 assets per transaction is what we're sending. So,
and it's in a safety zone, right? It's not bumped all the way up against the transaction size, but it's pretty damn close.
Well, and on that too, we're conservative with how whenever it was getting hit pretty heavy, you know, we've got Firehose set up to where we can get stuff on the chain pretty aggressively, and you know, we're set up even so to where we're playing nice with others and for others to get their stuff too.
Yeah, and also I couldn't find it anywhere. What's like the maximum size of a datum?
So that's a weird one. That's a weird one. There's actually a couple of things involved with that. When you start talking about the smart contracts, you have to look at memory usage and CPU usage. So there's like 3 things. There's not only the size, there's the CPU and mem usage that you have to deal with. So there's no one size fits all answer to that question.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, I know.
I wish that was easy.
No, this is the state of the art of this right now is that, you know, the guys have spent a lot of time intentionally breaking transactions in testnet, not in the mainnet, but in testnet. They've been intentionally breaking transactions to find out what can we really do? How big can this get? And they min-max this stuff to find out. So it's a job all by itself. There you goes another one. If somebody wants to write that to fill that customer job, that's a big customer job for Cardano right there of looking at what the minimum and maximum could be on, with different parameter sets, because for us, it's like the name of the token matters. Okay, right. We're sending fungible tokens. So every token name adds up to a portion of the size of the transaction. Right.
Yeah,
and then when you get into the scripts, it's not only the size, but then it's the memory usage and the CPU usage that matter as well. So there's a lot of knobs to tweak to get there. Yeah.
You already using the Plutus V2 goodness with the reference scripts and all?
Oh yeah, it's all in there. The guys are doing it, and maybe I'll try to get that. I'll see if I can get the dev guys to come on and do one of those with you guys if you're interested in doing a more technical space. We try to keep these pretty light and high level, but if that's something that you guys would like to see, we can always see if the dev guys would come in one week and because I can't do the topic justice at all. I pick up 5-10% of what they're saying, and I'm able to communicate it, but I'm not able to really give you the tech behind it.
Yeah, I bet this breakout room would gather some audience for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to the guys and find out a week that's good for them, and I'll get it on the schedule, and we'll have them in and have a go a little deeper technically. Have a nerd out session to borrow Andrew's name. Sure. We'll have a nerd out session in the breakout room one week. So
yeah, let's do this.
But bringing it back let's bring it back into our customer jobs for this week. And the next topic is a how-to. Like, how do you define the customer job, the jobs to be done framework? And I've got a 3-part question that you can answer in order to build it's sort of the high level, the easiest top level version of a jobs to be done framework. So it's when blank, I want to blank, so I can blank. So when something happens, I want to do this other thing, so I can feel this way, have this thing done for me, but I will say with that third one, emotion is great rather than a physical thing being accomplished. It's actually better for that third one. How do I feel? What does it make me feel? And remember, this is all from the customer's perspective. So it's those 3 are situation, motivation, and the outcome. That's what we're trying to shoot for, is to identify the situation the customer's in, their motivation in that moment, and the outcome that they desire. That's the 3 things we're trying to do. And so that's the how to building a jobs to be done framework from
I would also add like a prepend as a blank, and then everything you said.
So there's your customer persona, right? Take your customer persona and tie it in. And that's a great point, because that's what we're doing here, right? We're taking our customer and refining our customer. So as a customer persona, when I'm in line waiting with groceries, I want to spend time goofing off and not have to stare at the person in front of me. And so I can feel good about what I did with that time frame. And a video game says, here's a little 5-minute, time waster to make your life happier. Or a news site is, here's an article you can read in under 5 minutes. Right? Whatever that is. And so there's a real basic one. So what's
I would love to drip some tokens during that 5-minute period.
Okay. Right. If it were easy
actually
enough, right?
Actually, if it was easy, I would totally like go on my mobile device and get some tokens, like just for fun. Like,
I'm gonna set it up so you can prepay, put it on autopilot, and trust us to get you the dankest tokens. I'll be happy to. That's where we're at. So,
yep.
mean, at least that gives us confidence we're building in the right way, because your criticisms are dead on and they're on point, and we understand that, and that's
Absolutely.
gotta be simple.
Yeah, I would totally pay like for just the ability to like of the whole sea of the tokens that the drippable, to just select the best ones according to like what I want, like the best value. It could even be like less the value of ADA that I'm paying just for the, you know, for the potential gains that I might get.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we got to be careful about how we convey that type of degen information or perspective, but we could probably give you filters. You know, I'm trying to think.
I
about
know,
this.
but consider why would people even try to grab those tokens?
Most popular, right? That I get me the most popular, the ones that people are you see what I'm saying? That could be a filter. I want you to get me the most popular always. Prioritize is the right word. First, I want you to prioritize popular, then prioritize by price, then prioritize by whatever. Drip max 10 per wallet or 20 per wallet or whatever. And the fees will be, because we're going to get to a point where it would be appealing to potentially get 20 per wallet. You see what I'm saying, with the different projects and things like that. But if we do a really good job at giving you insight onto how to show us how to prioritize your drippings, because tokens will come just for a couple epochs and be gone. You see what I'm saying? And so, and like that would be new. Prioritize brand new limited drops, right? Number one. Then you see what I'm saying? So we give you a way to prioritize it, and then a way to prepay. You just go on autopilot. You come back every 3 months. You're like, hell yeah, I got me some tokens.
And hopefully conveniently put in one wallet for you, so you really don't have to think about it.
Yeah. Would be awesome.
So
don't drip and drive.
Don't drip and drive.
For sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Also make it kind of like a game, and there you go. Like I can even imagine something like Tetris, you know, just dropping in, and like this is if you gamify like that, it's gonna be bomb.
So yeah, some and I do love that, like this, you know, that people do want to be entertained. That like we've talked about that before in team meetings, that one of those motivations is they want to be entertained. People do, right?
On Cardano, it's the most. It's the dopamine, man. It's why people use DEXs. Like, I think, you know, some people use it to really make money, but a lot of people want that dopamine hit. They're doing something, you know. I created a liquidity pool. Yeah, you don't give a shit if they're losing money, but they did something, you know. So people are feeling good. And that's how.
And there you go. Motivation's powerful, right? Whatever the motivation happens to be, it's powerful. That's what it's the middle of the three things of defining this is motivation. So the situation is the first. Where they're at is important, because where they're at when they need it, that's a super important thing. Their motivation is the next most important thing. And then the outcome, which is ultimately, that's why I said emotion's important for the outcome. That's how they feel. They come out the other side. They feel like they did something worthwhile. They feel like they did something that made them better in some way, whether it's they put more tokens in their kids' wallets, you know, for later, because they feel like that's an important thing. That's one of my outcomes that I'm definitely going for, right? So I can get along with that outcome just fine, because that's one that to me is important. It could just be that dopamine hit. It could just be, man, I just want to feel good today. I've had a rough day and I just want to feel good today. And so maybe we had a little drippy Tetris thing that we could play that might actually make somebody feel better today. And that'd be a really cool play.
Yeah. I mean, just having some little fun, and
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely feel better.
Instant rewards.
Yep, instant rewards. Exactly. That's coming soon too. That's another thing we've been working on, is the instant rewards tool, where you can
also you want to minimize, you know, the frustrations, because like, okay, I have a drip coming up, right? On like, okay, like I can like spend those 5 minutes in the line and play the DripDropz Tetris or whatever. But next time I'm in the line, like, there you go, the epoch is not over yet, and you can't drip. So that's a frustration. So you wanna remove that frustration. Maybe
I think
allow.
you must have tried when it was all getting rowdy on chain. And
No,
now
no, I'm not talking about my personal experience. It's like I know how DripDropz works. So like you can drop once per epoch, and that's it. Like that's or is that not
Well,
the
it's
case anymore?
once per token per epoch. So if you get
Oh yeah,
drip, right, you can only get drip once per epoch.
Well, I don't know if that would be accurately true, because instant rewards are instant, right? So
That's right.
we're launching a new feed right now. It's once per epoch. It's based on staking for the most part. There are some instant rewards that he does that are spreadsheet loaded. So moving forward, we're going to launch a product called Instant Rewards, which is essentially a way for you to make a REST API call and reward users remotely. So you could, so say you got your side chain going on, right? And say it's a side chain for, I don't know, a video game or whatever it is, right? And then you want to reward activity for users trading value or whatever on your side chain. And you've got your token that's on a main chain on Cardano that represents, you see you've got a Cardano native asset that's representative of that. You could basically just do an API call, give us a Cardano address, you know, some indicator, a campaign ID, and an integer to identify how many Lovelace value or whatever value to give the tokens. And we give them the tokens, right? And so when they go to DripDropz, they'll be available, and you can basically show them a dashboard of what's available within your own ecosystem, right? So it's just a way, I think you don't have to worry about distribution or any of that whatsoever. Yep. So the instant rewards, it just opens it up quite a bit.
And that is mid epoch or whatever. It's whenever when they get those rewards, they show up right away, even if they've already come and dripped once.
So if you were playing a game or something, let's say I won, you know, whatever, 100 boo-boo tokens or whatever I'm playing, you know, I go and get my boo-boos, and then I do it again, and I can get my boo-boos again in the same. So you can do it as it's not dictated by the epic boundaries.
And you can also let them stack up too. So if 100 boo-boos isn't worth your time, but 500 is, and you hit that 500 mark, you can go then, even if it takes 2 or 3 epochs. You don't lose.
Go away at the end of the epic. See what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's a totally different model that's being enabled with the platform.
Yeah.
But
yeah, now I see. Okay, go ahead, Harsha.
But if we change like which pool we are staking to, do the tokens not go away? Because I thought I remember that. No.
Well, no. It's different tokens are. There's many different campaigns on DripDropz today, and right now many of them do target by stake pool. And if you do change pools, you will see
lose them. You might lose some, you might gain some.
You know, rewards, are tied to an address. It's an address. So like when you go and register with some other party or ecosystem, you would give them an address for your rewards. Hey, here's where I want my rewards, right?
Yep.
And so anytime you interacted with their platform, they would just hit our API and say, yo, light this address up with this many rewards. And then next time you came to DripDropz, they would be there. Or next time you interacted with their application, they would present to you that data that was available to you, or the rewards that were available to you.
Right.
So it's a way for us to really go after. I mean, shit, you could do like an email opt-in form, and you know, you got the traditional email opt-ins. Give me your email address, and I'll give you a PDF on like a, I don't know, 10 diet tips or whatever, or how to start, you know, tips on how to start your business or whatever. So it's a trade of value, email address for value. Now you say, give me your email address, and I'll give you tokens. So it's like boom, boom.
Yep. You complete this quest in a game, you win these tokens. And as the game developer, you can keep them in your game, or allow them to send them over instant rewards. Right.
Watch this video and fill out this, you know, do this 4-question quiz and submit it. Boom, you get all the questions right, you get your reward.
Yep. So lots of ways that's going to, you know, help the space innovate further. So we're excited about that one. That one's coming this year. That one's definitely coming this year. So we'll, you know, hopefully we'll be talking about it here soon, you know, next little bit. we're getting up near the end of the hour here. So I do want to bring up the last thing. I do try to give resources each week. I will put the two articles that are the foundational articles on Jobs to Be Done framework. They're both great reads, not even long reads, 10, 15-minute reads. It's not like a whole textbook or something, but really good articles on the why of doing this. I'll have those out there. And then there are Miro templates and Figma templates that help do like team exercises on the Jobs to Be Done framework. So, and if you use either Miro or Figma, whichever you use, you can just go there, search that template, and they're just right there. They're fantastic. They're the same ones that I went through a veterans program a couple of years back that taught this entrepreneurship stuff, and that the templates are practically identical to the ones I went through in that program. So highly recommend those. They were very fruitful to me in the past, and if you're going to be building a Jobs to Be Done framework, they're a great way to get that done. So if you guys have, I'd love to hear any final thoughts you guys have. Was this helpful this week? Is this a topic that you guys found interesting? And
it's very interesting. It's insightful, and we're here to learn how to build businesses. So,
fantastic.
Question I have is, you mentioned resources could be found on DripDropz website, and where exactly on the site?
Okay, so it's actually what I was saying is the YouTube channel. It's for these videos. So you go to the DripDropz YouTube channel. It is linked from the site. So if you go to our About Us page, there's our social media is all the way across the bottom of our About Us page, and there's a link to our YouTube channel there. And you'll see the videos are all there, along with others. Like we do our dev chat that I just did with Lathisan and Adam on the open source voting. That's up there. I did a chat with Doug, our brand engineer, recently. That was a closeout for our Catalyst, the Cardano Main Street product. So for that product, I did a great chat with Doug, and so there's some insights into like brand design and UI UX design with Doug. So you guys might want to check that one out as well. And all of these entrepreneurship topics and other, Cardano related topics that we have there, hopefully you guys find them interesting and useful.
Yeah, be sure to attach links to the YouTube video description.
Yep, will do. So, all right, guys. Well, with that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will be back next Wednesday with a new topic. I will put it out as early as Friday of this week. We'll have the topic out for what's coming up next week. So thank you guys for your participation today. Really appreciate it, and see you next week.